Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Building Charleston podcast, a podcast where we take a moment each week to meet the leaders who are changing the landscape of Charleston, South Carolina. My name is Matt Chapdelaine. I am the host of the Building Charleston podcast. I am also the broker in charge at Lane Commercial Real Estate. We're recording this episode on January 24th, 2020 in the Building Charleston studios and also the Lane Commercial offices. It was a cold week to start the week, but we're finally warmed up here. Just another day in the Low Country. I want to remind everyone that you can not only listen to this podcast on your favorite podcast channels, but thanks to the help of producer Tom Shakti, you can now watch this on Instagram and in full version on YouTube. So Building Charleston takes for-profit companies to make the economy go round, but it also takes not-for-profits. Last season, we got to meet with Katie Blomquist from Going Places, and we got a really positive response from her episode. It's been way too long since we had another not-for-profit on. So today, we are welcoming Elena Lawson from the Charleston Animal Society. If you've ever wanted to rescue a pet, or if you've had a pet who's been a large part of your life, this is probably going to be an episode that you're going to want to be a part of. So with that, Elena, welcome to the Building Charleston podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So for the listeners out there who are saying, who is Elena Lawson? Tell us who you are.
I would say I'm an average Charlestonian now. I've been here for about 19 years.
Okay.
So I moved here in 2000. I consider myself somewhat local.
How'd you make it to Charleston?
Well, I went to college in North Carolina, and then when I was finished, I decided to come to Charleston. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And was there any kind of catalyst to Charleston, or you just said, hey, listen, I like the region, and this place looks like it's up and coming?
I knew I didn't want to go home to the cold New England winters, and some of my friends from college, we looked at the area and we loved it.
I know you're originally from New Hampshire. I was telling you before this show that I had a friend who lives in New Hampshire, and he sent me a screenshot of his dashboard earlier this week, and it was -7. Certainly not jealous of anything like that. Their cold is certainly a different cold than we have. So you work at Charleston Animal Society. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about what Charleston Animal Society is.
Yeah, so Charleston Animal Society, we take care of around 90% of the animals in Charleston County. You know, they come in as strays, people bringing them in, cruelty cases, different things like that. So they come in from the community. We take care of them. We microchip, vaccinate, spay and neuter them, get them ready to go back out into the community and find homes for them. Okay,
and what's your kind of geographic region? Because I think I was really surprised before the show we started taping, and you were telling me a little bit more about it. What's your geographic footprint here in Charleston?
Yeah, so all of Charleston County. So even if you're in the Mount Pleasant area, the West Ashley area, if you have a pet and they were to, God forbid, go missing in the area, we do partner with animal control. So any of those animals are brought to us.
Okay.
So,
and how does that typically work? So if I was going, driving down the street and I saw, a dog that was maybe not being looked after or whatever, would I call the police who would then call you, or do they? Yeah.
So with that, you can actually request to have an animal welfare check done. So if you see, God forbid, an animal out on the chain and you see this animal there all the time, they have no food, they have no water, you could call animal control and say, hey, can you please do an animal welfare check, and they will do that anonymously too, which a lot of people don't know. Okay. So interesting. Yeah.
So how did you get involved with Charleston Animal Society? Do you have? Well, let me back up. Do you have any pets? Was that a contributing factor? Okay.
We do. Yeah. We have a little Chihuahua Jack Russell who he came into the shelter with a cleft palate, which is pretty interesting. It's not very common with dogs, and asked my husband if we could foster him. And we're what are called foster failures now. That's where you end up keeping them, and that's probably one of the best things you could be a failure at.
Sure.
But he had, the surgeries done, and then, going through all that with him, we just could not give him up. So
how often does that happen?
With the cleft palates, or
no? Sorry, with the foster failures. Yeah,
quite often.
Okay,
and we like that.
Okay,
so,
well,
yeah.
For my own personal experience, when I also have a Chihuahua, and when my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, said we're going to get this little Chihuahua, I thought, boy, I'm not a little dog kind of guy, and I kind of saw myself as kind of a foster parent. Boy, we're just taking this dog in for a bit, and is this really going to last? And lo and behold, 10 years later, he's my best friend, and he's a great guy. So maybe I'm a foster failure on some ways, but I think if you're gonna fail somewhere, foster failure is a good way to go. So what makes Charleston Animal Society unique from maybe others?
We're one of the oldest, or we are the oldest animal organization in South Carolina. So we've been around since 1874. And back in the day, it was a different, mission. Well, it's always been the same, preventing cruelty to animals. So that's probably our largest,
Okay. How has Charleston Animal Society evolved over the years? I hear 1874. I'm thinking, horses and maybe a few dogs, and now it sounds like you've taken in 52 different species. So
it's it's definitely grown. Back in the day, it was a very small facility. It used to be located next to the jail, so it really did have that pound type, name to it. So it's grown by leaps and bounds over the years. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So. And what outside of cats and dogs, which I'm sure are probably the most common, what are other common animals that find their way to your?
We have the guinea pigs, bunnies, some of the ones that have been pretty interesting though. We had a 900-pound pig. Actually, I don't know if y'all heard about this, where it fell off the truck on 526. And we actually found a home for that. So
was the pig on the way to becoming bacon?
It was, okay. And came to the shelter. We took care of Babe, is the pig's name, and now it's living out on John's Island with the family and another pig. So we've had peacocks, we've had all sorts of different horses. So
where does all the food come from that to feed? I can just imagine what it takes to feed a 900-pound pig.
Yeah.
Where's the food come from?
Yeah. So we do have a partner with Science Diet who feed the animals while they're at the shelter. But then we do operate a food bank. So whenever you see us doing these food drives out in the community, that is all used for our food bank that we operate 7 days of the week. So people can come in and get food for their animals, and then that's the number one reason that a person would give up a pet is because they can't feed them.
Okay.
So I love when I'm talking to people about, some people may not be the biggest animal lovers, but, you're helping people too. So by donating food, you're helping a family keep their pet. So.
So I got to imagine that every single day you're seeing something hopefully really awesome come out of what is maybe a tough situation. Is there any moment or experience that maybe either get you through the bad days or maybe just brings a smile to your face and say, hey, this is just an awesome experience?
Yeah, there's been so many. People probably recall the story of Caitlin the dog, who she came in with her nose bound with tape. And basically, her owner had done that to her, and then we were brought in on the animal cruelty side and really helped to fight the case. And the solicitor actually ended up adopting her afterwards, but she really she came in, with after such horrible abuse. And she actually spoke to, people who, had been through like domestic abuse, things like that. Just through this animal, we were able to help, so many other animals and people heal just through, what she had been through and how well she was doing. So That's probably one of the biggest things.
There's a special place in hell for someone who's taping up a dog's mouth. That's got to be tough to see, but it sounds like, through some tough stuff.
Horrible, good came out of it. So.
Yeah. So what are the goals, if you will, of Charleston Animal Society? Is it awareness? Is it obviously saving individual pets? Is that it? Is there more? Or is it really simple?
So we are a no-kill community, and one of our missions right now is we've got a no-kill South Carolina team, and what we would love to see is the whole state go to a no-kill state. So and that's not easy, considering Charleston, we're really blessed with the community that we have. When you get out into some of these rural areas, they may not have what we have here in Charleston. So we're working with those groups around the state to sort of train them on some of the things we do here that they can actually implement in these smaller communities. So.
That's got to be tough, because I think of obviously dogs come in or a cat or some pet has had a tough situation, and to know that killing is not an option. Is there, for some of the more challenging pets, is there a therapy program, or is there a process to kind of get them not rehabilitated, but to a spot where they can go to an appropriate family?
Yeah. There's all sorts of different things. There's some sanctuaries where animals who may not be able to be adopted out, they can go out to. We have a behavior program. When the animals come in, they're all the dogs. They're all behavior tested. Behavior testing a cat may not be as as easy, but yeah.
So what's the process then? If I'm listening to this podcast and I think, boy, you know what, it's right for us to get a pet, or boy, maybe we've got some extra rooms that we can become a foster failure.
Yeah.
What's that process look like? Do they go to one of your shelters, or?
Yeah, so we have a few different things they could do. They could start out on our website. We do list. We try to stay as up to date as we can, but we're always so busy, and volunteers help us with taking pictures of the animals and getting them on the website, so they could, if they're just sort of starting their search, they can go there and look at who we have available.
Mm-hmm.
They can come in to visit the shelter. We also have a couple of cool new programs that we started. One called Paws Around Town, where you can actually come in and take a dog out for the day. And you come in at 10, you have to be back by 4, but you could take them out on Facebook. If you follow the Paws Around Town page, it's the cutest page you'll see. You can see all the adventures people take them on. So that's something that's pretty cool. And then also we're starting a sleepover program with Paws Around Town where they could take them for the weekend and then bring them back, And you have to fill out the foster application just so we have everybody's information on, what they're doing. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully someone's listening to this out there and they say, boy, sleepover party.
Yeah. And with the Paws Around Town, too, I think it's cool for businesses, too. You take them around, let them visit some of your clients. It's just sort of a neat thing that you could do.
Oh boy, here we go. We've got one dog. Maybe we get 2 out of this. Yep. So what are some of the events that Charleston Animal Society does? So I assume, donations are always a, big part of it, but what are some of the events that Charleston Animal Society does to, I guess, bring awareness and raise some money?
Yeah, so we have our gala coming up in April.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be down at the Gilliard downtown, and that's going to be called Frisky A Go-Go.
Okay.
So sort of your 70s theme, and tickets and sponsors are needed for that. So that's, that'll be a fun time. And then our largest fundraiser for the shelters, it'll be our 20th anniversary of our chili cook-off and oyster roast. And we usually see around 6,000 people out there. There's chili teams, there's oysters. This year, I think we're going to have 5 bands. A lot of fun, and it won #1 Low Country event.
It's for those listening from outside of the Low Country and have never experienced an oyster roast, it is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the first things I got to do when I came down here. I absolutely fell in love. This is going to be airing on the Monday after the Boone Hall oyster roast.
Okay.
So if you're listening to this on Monday, just know that I might be a little bit, walk around a little bit slow, as will half of Charleston, because we've all had a good time at the oyster roast. So when it comes to putting on these events, what's needed? Do you need volunteers? Do you need, so it sounds like sponsors. How does that break down?
Especially with the chili cook-off, we're actively looking for committee members who want to get involved, sponsors. We look for chili teams, people who like to cook. A lot.
So how many chili teams will you have?
We've had over 100.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's a competition, so people are voting. And
competition, yeah. Yeah, and we have some of the celebrity chef judges from around the Charleston area who help us with that.
And does the income that you make off of those, is that your primary source then, or source of income, or is there?
Yeah, that's part of it. Then we have, grants. We have individual donors, investments. So it's a huge,
Mm-hmm.
All different ways of raising money.
Okay. Yeah. And so I guess big picture then with Charleston Animal Society, what are the resources that you're kind of full on right now, and what are you lacking?
Food is something we always need for the community, because, we'll fill the shelves and then, a week goes by and then they're empty again because people are always coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So food is always great. Blankets, if you're ever, moving and clearing out, your old towels, your old blankets, we need that. Just because we always like to make sure the animals have something soft in their cage with them. So that's needed. Volunteers, giving the gift of your time, fosters the
Mm-hmm.
gift of your home. So, and a lot of that's on our website too.
Okay. So if I was listening to this and I said, geez, I really want to get involved. I want to do something. Go to the website is probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then two other things that are really easy too, because I know people love Amazon now sometimes. So there's Amazon Smile where you can choose the shelter when you shop, and then Facebook fundraisers. Those are huge too.
Okay.
So,
two ways to get back. So all right. So let's go a little bit big picture now on kind of not-for-profits in Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think we're doing right here with not-for-profits in Charleston, and what maybe is lacking? What's your take on the overall not-for-profit scene?
There's there's so many amazing nonprofits in the Charleston area, that support so many different missions. So I think we're doing a really good job. Every area, from wildlife to children to animals. I feel like everything is being being touched in some way. So I think we're doing a great job.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. So let's do two questions here that are kind of off topic, that are more just kind of based on you and Charleston in general. To you, what's the best part about living in Charleston?
Just the low country itself. Being near the ocean, we've got Shem Creek here in Mount Pleasant, which is just beautiful. Dolphins. You can see the dolphins every time you're out. Just so much to do. There's always something.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing to do? So do you have a go-to
tough.
spot? Yeah.
Shem Creek.
Yeah.
Shem Creek.
See the dolphins. Now do you go out on the canoes? Do you go out on a boat?
Yeah, we do the kayaking, and then also, even just taking advantage of the beautiful park there. It's just such a great area.
How often do you see the dolphins there? More often than not.
Every time you're out there,
that was
see them.
Before I moved down here. My friend Rob took me there, and we were out there having a drink, and I got to see the dolphins go by, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And to this day, every time I see them going by, it's pretty awesome. Even I took my boys to Isle of Palms this summer, and I think it was the second or third time we were at the beach, and the little dolphins were kind of just going back and forth, and my boys were totally losing their mind. I thought it was pretty cool. So. At this point, we start winding down the podcast. I got to ask you the question that I ask, every guest who comes on as we kind of close down here. If I were to ask you what your hope or vision for Charleston is over the next 5-10 years, what's your vision for Charleston?
I would love to see, probably development slow down a little bit, just to keep that small town feel. To the area, and then the hope that everybody will spay and neuter their pets. Okay,
Bob Barker and Alana from Charleston Animal Society in the studio this morning. That's great. Well, that's good. Is there anything else you think we should cover while we got you in the studio?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
Well, thank you for coming in. The one thing I would like to give, I think I gave it to you already, is a bag of popcorn. The Low Country's best popcorn. I hope you take it. I hope it fuels you through the day, fuels you through the weekend. They are Popped Popcorn is our sponsor. I am a huge fan of it. If you want to get popcorn, there's a couple different places you can get it. First, you can get it at Boone Hall Market before they close. I heard recently that they're closing down, so hopefully not for long, but hurry up and get it at Boone Hall Market before they move. Coastal Cupboard, who's in Bell Hall, you can get it there. House of Brews on Ben Sawyer Boulevard. Two Blokes Brewery on Long Point, you can get it there. Indigo Reef Brewing, Clemens Ferry, you can get it at the Brick. You can get it at Mellow and Play Cafe, Oak Grove Brewing, and House of Brews on West Ashley. So they're not just a sponsor. I am a huge fan of them. And as Carmen knows, I send her pictures of almost every bag that I go through. Why? It just makes me happy. So at this point, I give a pro tip, and I'm going to do what I did last year when Katie Bloomquist was on. I'm going to pivot from a pro tip to a pro challenge. We're all blessed to live in the Charleston area. It's a really awesome spot. If you haven't taken some time to give back to the community in some way, now's the time to do it. Commit yourself to either volunteering. If you don't have time and you've got some cash, send them a check. Maybe enter your family or your team in a chili cook-off, something to support a not-for-profit in the area. That is the Pro Challenge, Building Charleston Pro Challenge of the week. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, I'd ask you to subscribe. You can listen to us on your favorite podcast channels. You can also listen to us or watch us and listen to us on YouTube and Instagram, thanks to producer Tom Shakti. If you have a unique story that you think everyone needs to know or you want to sponsor an upcoming show, certainly let me know. Finally, if you're a business in the Low Country and you're looking to expand or relocate your business, or you're just saying, hey, listen, I want to know what commercial real estate is like here in Charleston, certainly reach out to me. I'd be happy to show you how to do that. My contact information will be in the show notes to this episode as they are in every single episode. So with that, one last time, thank you, Elena.
Thank you.
Thank you to producer Tom Shakti. Thank you to the listeners and thank you to the sponsors. Go out there, everybody, and make it a great day.